Welcome to Integrative Lawyers of the World, where we believe that lawyers can and do contribute to the healing of the world. We believe this because we know lawyers from around the world who do just this. Hi, I'm your host, Carrie Raleigh, and our guest this episode is Carmen from Madrid, Spain. Carmen is a collaborative lawyer and has her firm, Abogacia Colaborativa, in Madrid, where she helps families use the collaborative process as they start their family process in prenups, as well as working with families on should they choose to separate or divorce. She is also trained in conscious contracts, and she uses the conscious contract process to help couples with their prenuptial agreements, or if they're buying any property together. It's a wonderful use of the conscious contract process. I'm looking forward to hearing how she uses conscious contracts in her practice. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. And please be sure to check out other episodes at www.integrativelaw.com. Carmen, hi, welcome to Integrative Lawyers of the World.
Hi, thank you for the invitation.
And you are joining us from Madrid, Spain. How is the world in Madrid today?
It's fine. It's really rainy. We are having a really strange spring, but we are fine.
Nice. I visited Madrid, I think in January 2011. And It was, I fell in love with your city. I went to a couple of different cities in Spain that trip, and I think Madrid was one of my favorite. I mean, they were all great, but I really, really liked Madrid.
I'm glad you like it. It's a very funny city, but yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your legal journey. Have you always practiced collaborative law?
I've been practicing very early in my career, which is pretty interesting. Like when you met other collaborative professionals, they have been practicing the law and going to courts for several years. And then when they are about to quit the profession, they found this other way to help their clients with mediation, collaborative practice, or any other idea process. By contrast, my experience was that I met collaborative law really early in my career, almost at the beginning. So I'm very lucky to have mostly the same experience in collaborative law and in traditional law. So for me, it's difficult sometimes to have this distinction between the two legal professions, let's say.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I don't know, is this the way that I work in collaborative or in traditional law? This is just my way, and I don't have to have double task.
You're right. So many of the people that we interview found collaborative law later on in their practice when they were frustrated with the process. And I think it's so beautiful that younger attorneys are learning this earlier on in their practice. And it's how they start their practice from day one. How did you learn about collaborative law?
I was studying for a year in London because of a scholarship from my university. And there we have that subject called ADR. Mm-hmm. And by that time, 10 years ago or so, well, a little bit more though, there was no mediation at university in Spain, not very popular. Obviously, there were a few, but as a lawyer student, I didn't hear anything about it. So I was there in London, and they had this subject about ADR. Actually, I wasn't applying for that subject, but there was this conflict with my schedule that I need to change. So it was real by casualty. By chance. And then I was there, and they were talking about if there can be justice without the law, if there can be any kind of concept of fairness beside the acts or the case law. And it was pretty interesting to me because I was very focused on legal theory and the legal philosophy and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, this really sounds interesting. And then when I came back and I finished my degree here in Madrid, I started working in a little law firm dedicated to family law. And they were talking about mediation idea. So it was really a really good chance to start working in another kind of law firm. So early in my career, I start listening to this mediation and ADR and even collaborative divorce. So I decided to study my master's in ADR, and then a collaborative practice and the first associations and the first movement in Spain start. And everything happened at my very first year being a lawyer.
In your master's of ADR, within those studies, was collaborative law introduced or part of the ADR master's program?
Just a little bit. We had just one class, but it was really interesting. I already knew about it because of my law firm, but yeah, they had a little part about it.
Okay.
And it's very special that they have it, and I think it's one of the few masters in Spain that they have it. Yeah.
So there's so much serendipity in what you were talking about, like being in London and, oh, I want to take this course, but it won't work with my schedule. Here's the only course that will work with my schedule, and that's a mediation course that then introduces you to other concepts, including collaborative law.
Such a paradigm shift, because when you're studying law, you're just focused on the best legal advice, like which is the best argument, or the best discussion you may have in front of the judge or in front of the client or in front of another lawyer. And then you go to real life, and actually you need to fix the problem. Now your client. So it's not about the best legal advice. It's just the law is just one of the tools that you may have
to get to the resolution or to help your clients. Yeah,
that's right. So it's not like, yeah, I'm very right. Yeah, but is this worth it? All the time, energy, or money? So then you realize that you just need to get it done.
Even when I went to law school several years ago, we had mediation and arbitration. ADR was a part of the curriculum, but I think maybe one of our deans in the law school was really big in the ADR movement, and she had a mediation practicum. And I think the law school had a dispute resolution journal. So I think that was part of it. I don't know if they include collaborative law now. I'm saying this more so for me to make a note. I should contact my law school to see if they're interested in if there is collaborative law at that law school, like how your law school, even if it's just a little section in your law school program, it's enough to introduce you to it. And then if you want to find out more, you can.
Yeah, because when you have something in your mind and then someone tells you about collaborative practice, you will run for it. But you need to know that something is going on. I was going to say that, that collaborative practice is built or created by lawyers and for lawyers. So it's not that we need like all these scholars, all these professors, like to have all the research. That is amazing to have it. It's like we need people to know, because then it's all based on practice and on real life examples.
Yeah.
So it's great to have all that support, of course, but I think we need from them more, we need them to spread the word, to have more people talking about it.
If a lawyer's telling you, look, I've done the legal system, I've done the court system for several years and it's toxic, I've been in it, I'm telling you, or there's another way. Let's look at this other way. I think people might be prone to listen to it. And I think that's why collaborative law is spreading all over the world now, because it has that inherent sense of striving for peace and resolution as opposed to fight and revenge. Sometimes you get.
I think that our legal systems are very based on the rule of law, on all these principles that are really essential to have democracy. But actually, many of the problems that we are having to the court, they don't need all that security. They just need understanding, listening, and hearing. So I'm not saying that the legal system is not good. I'm saying that we are using it for another things that we don't need to. I was just saying that the design, like all the lawyers in the world, we have like the same disease, let's say, like all this toxicity that we are having. And that's the reason a lot of people just quit practicing law. And all that. And I think that is because it's not set for that. It's set for another thing. It's designed. It was born to do another stuff. And we're using it to deal between other kind of problems that they are better to have a negotiation or just to reach an agreement. Yeah.
The rule of law is kind of like the what, you know, it's like how we set up how we're going to manage relationships between individuals in society, individuals in the government. We have to have some type of,
our framework.
I think collaborative law and it is a how we move through that system. And there's a way, you know, you can move through it through the court system. You can move through it through the collaborative process outside of the court system. You can move through it. Sometimes even a mindfulness practice also helps people in the how to move through the system. And there are many hows to move through the what.
Yeah. Really good.
You had said something at the very beginning, which I think is kind of fascinating. And it kind of gets to the core of integrative law. Because you started collaborative law at the start of your career, you've always had that training as part of you. So sometimes when you're in the collaborative law process or when you're in the traditional, in the courtroom, you're not sure where one stops and one overlaps. And I'm thinking there's part of the collaborative practice is it's a mindset. It's a philosophy. So even when you're in the court system, during the traditional court system, you still can have that mindset and philosophy with you. They're kind of integrated.
Especially when you are leading with people, like when you are talking to your client, the kind of questions, the kind of complicity and the kind of relationship you are building on you cannot forget your collaborative training. As you said, when I'm training collaborative practice, I always tell them, you know, this is an idea, this a technique, but this is a philosophy. And once you get it, it's really difficult to just get rid of it.
Yeah.
So for me, the kind of questions and the kind of relationship that I build, both with my clients and other lawyers, I think is different because we always have this view of this approach.
Do you ever have clients or prospective clients come to you and they just want revenge, or they're just angry? And I didn't practice family law, but even when I did commercial litigation and business litigation, sometimes someone said, look, I just want to fight these people. I just want to put them down. I just, you know,
it happens. It's just, I'm not their lawyer. I mean, I can help them, but yeah, it will end soon. It happened to me after like 6 months negotiation. It was like very long process. And then at the end, it was the husband, he decided to quit. We were reaching an agreement with the other party. We were just at the end. And he decided to end it, like not a lot of reasoning behind. And I think it was because in one of our meetings, I let him know that, you know, I'm not starting a war against the mother of your children. Something like that. I can't remember the exactly words, but I remember to have like, okay, let's focus here.
Yeah.
And I think he didn't like that, or maybe he wasn't what he wasn't looking for. I don't know.
Yeah.
But something there in our confidence or in our relationship did break. So he decided to quit.
Okay. Sometimes that's the best
an example.
move. Yeah. Sometimes that is the best move. I know there would be sometimes with clients, again, in like more of the commercial litigation process, they're trying to get something, you know, they say, I want you to tell them this, I want you to tell them this, and they're banging their hands on their fist and using all these like mean words. And I'm like, okay, we can do that. But let me ask you, if you got that email, would you come closer to me to the settlement and resolution, or would you want to fight back? And it's, you know, what do you want? And sometimes they get that, and some people will say, I want to fight back.
And it's fun. You know, I always say the same. In Madrid, there are, I don't know, thousands of lawyers. It's fine. You will find your lawyer.
Yeah.
But you need to trust your lawyer. You need to share some values with him or with her. You need to have some complicity, as I was saying before. So it doesn't matter. You know, there are many lawyers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's fine. But you need to have some kind of, to be in line with the other person.
I think to be aligned with the other person, you have to be aligned with yourself. And you said the person has to trust the lawyer. if you're trying to be something that you're not, you're trying to be, maybe your natural instinct is to be the peacemaker, but you're trying to be the overly aggressive, antagonistic bulldog of a lawyer.
Yeah, and it doesn't work.
For anyone, for the lawyer as well as the client.
I always say there is a lot of noise between you are thinking and what you are saying, so you can feel it. So something is not going on like properly. And so you don't have sometimes like the evidence. You cannot touch it, but you can feel it. Like this is not going the way that it should. Yeah. When you have to fight something that you actually don't believe in. Yeah.
What is the collaborative community like in Madrid? Is there a lot of lawyers who are trained in collaborative law?
We had a lot of people being trained. Our first training was in 2014, but we don't have a lot of people who actually are practicing collaborative practice. They really like the idea. They came, they trained, but then they didn't feel maybe, I don't know, if brave enough to try it. So we have a small community, but we are doing our best to make it grow.
Yeah. I was when I lived in Tampa, Florida for some years, and I was there as it was starting to really take hold in Tampa. And I was trying to, at that time I was still doing business litigation, and I'm thinking, well, these family law lawyers, they have this wonderful holistic practice. Why can't we use it for business law or civil matters? So I was trying to like extend it over there. And some civil litigators, they didn't quite get the purpose of it. They were like, but I think it was making headway. And then I left Tampa. But I remember having many conversations with different people on how do we establish collaborative law. And it wasn't just you get the lawyers trained, but they need to have confidence and comfort that they will get clients and be able to earn a living with it. So you also have to do the training to the public.
You need the professionals to believe in, not only lawyers, but the coaches, the financial advisors, all the neutrals. And then you need the society to understand. And in my experience, it's been that clients, they don't know what collaborative practice is, but they know that they don't want to fight. That they want to still, I'm talking about family law, but they want to still have a family, a team. Maybe they are having now in two houses. Maybe they are not a couple anymore, but they are still together in this. So they don't want all this revenge. So there are lots of couples. Nowadays, lots of people do divorce, but it's not like before. They divorce and they get along. And there is new chapter in their lives. It's not divorce as a failure. It's divorce as a change. And many young people with young kids, and they don't want all this war. It's very difficult. It's very hard, but it's not the end of anything. It's just a change. So we have all these new people who are getting divorced. They need new methods, new skills, and we are there for them. So they don't know what collaborative practice is, but they know they don't want to go to the judge or they don't want to go to the war. So it's our task to let them know that they can do it this other way.
When you worked at the ADR firm, was it a firm that just specialized only on different dispute resolutions, arbitration, mediation, and was it for all types of practices?
It was just family law, and they were doing mediation too. They were doing mediation, negotiation, yeah. But that time, like 12 years ago, it was like pretty uncommon in Spain. Nowadays, there are more mediation law firms and a lot of mediation public services. But by then, it was like pretty interesting. Yeah.
So have you served as a mediator?
I did. Yeah, I did. At the beginning, when I was studying my master's, I did a lot of mediation cases and I love it.
How do you feel about being a mediator?
I like it by that time, but then I realized that actually I was more collaborative lawyer because of the neutral stuff. I couldn't. I was being very empathetic with both sides, and it was maybe difficult for me, maybe not for them, but inside me, I was like, I don't know if I am being neutral. So in collaborative law, I found the place where I can still be a lawyer, but a lawyer with all the mediation skills, all the mediation abilities. So I do take care of the other party. I do listen to them. I do all the stuff, but at the end of the day, I am with one party. And it's funny because when I'm in a collaborative law session, I feel like I'm doing mediation. Sorry, what am I doing? Because I am taking account of everything that is going on the table. But you don't have that burden of being neutral. So you are more relaxed. And the clients feel accompanied, even if you are talking to the other party. I have never had an experience where my client will say, like, you are not taking care of me because I was paying attention to the other party. And maybe mediation, you don't know what you can get.
When I was in protracted litigation, and litigation that takes years, and you just this and that, and you can never shut it off, right? Because when you go home at night, there's always still something going on. It's hard to shut off. I thought, mediation, a mediator, they could go for like one day, and then when it's done, and it's not like heavy in their heart and heavy in their lives for like years on end. But I never thought of the neutral part. I've been trained as a mediator in my law school, and I attended countless mediations with my client. So I was always with my client. But after I graduated, in part of law school, there was a clinic where we did mediations for like the local people, and I was the mediator there. But after I graduated from law school, my formal practice, I've never actually been the mediator. And it's something that I kind of think about now. Is that something that I might enjoy?
We'll see. There is always time for everything.
We are taking a brief break from this conversation to ask for your financial support. With each episode, we hope you can see how lawyers and peacemakers like you are contributing to the healing of the world. It takes many kinds of resources for the integrative law movement to keep going and affecting change. Your monetary donation can help us continue this important work by supporting the activities and the members of this community. Each contribution goes to promote the stability and accessibility of the movement and to support basic expenses like our Mighty Network group, web hosting, social media and event management, and this Integrative Lawyers of the World podcast. Because we like to give people choices, we have ongoing monthly options to match your budget, or you can make a one-time donation. Thanks to our non-profit corporate sponsor, the Renaissance Law Society, US supporters are able to make tax-deductible donations. Supporters from other countries, please check your local tax laws. For ways to support the integrative law movement and our world-changing work, go to our website at www.integrativelaw.com and click on Support the Movement tab at the top of the page. Another great way to support us is to rate us 5 stars and comment, like, follow or subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, Google, YouTube, or your favorite podcast platform. These ratings and interactions help us get seen and heard by even more people to make an even stronger impact. Thank you for your support and spending time with us today. Enjoy the rest of this conversation.
Where I'd like to pick up on is when you're saying how the importance of having your client feel like you're supporting them. Even when you're in the collaborative law process or in the practice and you're looking at the whole table, everyone around the table, you still got your clients back, and they know that. And I think that is very important for the process to work.
It's essential them to understand that the both of you are a team, but then you're a team with the other lawyer too, or the other professionals. And then everyone in the table is a team, because we are just our aim is to get the best agreement. So in order to do so, we need to listen to everyone's needs. We need to understand what is going on. So if I don't know the other party needs, I won't be able to reach an agreement that is good for both of you. If I only take account the interest or the needs of my client, it won't be a good agreement. Next week, they will have a fight because we didn't listen to the other party. So as I get more information from the other party, the best agreement we will get.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's kind of, everyone wants to take care of the other party, more or less. And we always say that we are here to help you. We won't go to the courts. I mean, like all the collaborative law principles. And one thing is like, we are taking care. We know that we need to heal one each other somehow. And if we feel that some agreement, even they say yes, because maybe they are feeling very sad or very angry or very, I don't know, lost, we need to check with them. Like, do you think that really this is a good idea, that you will be able to live like this in a couple of months? You won't be regretting. Like, we need to do this reality check all the time. And more than reality check is like care check. Like, are we being careful here with this?
When you started your own firm, you started with the idea, I mean, it's Abogacia Colaborativa. And so you started with the foundation of a commitment to collaborative law. So tell me a little bit more about your firm.
So when I said before that I was starting with a little family law firm, actually my former boss now is my partner. We've been working together since then. So we really understand all this collaborative practice, all this new paradigm shift in the same way. We've been trained in collaborative practice at the same time and in conscious contracts at the same time. So all this journey that we've been doing is been really interesting. She has more experience than me, she's older than me, but we are doing this evolving or change together, which is amazing.
When did you first learn about conscious contracts and what did you think about it?
I think it was 2017. I've been very involved with the Collaborative Law Association in Basque Country, and which is in the north of Spain, and they are very, very pioneering. I've been working and collaborating and training with them since the beginning. And when they started working with Kim, I was there too, and I was really lucky to be one of the person who helped Kim and Alala Linda to design all their trainings in Spain. And it was amazing to have that contact, or that direct contact with them. So I read the book Discovering Agreement, and it was like, wow. it really changed something in me about, it's like, with collaborative practice, we changed everything about reaching agreements, but then we didn't realize about how we design those agreements or how we design the relationships. It's like collaborative practice. I always explain this in my trainings. It's like we have the relationship and then we have the conflict. Like collaborative practice is arriving late when the conflict is arising. Why don't we get our attention at the beginning when the relationship is being created in business, in marriage, in partnerships, whatever. So conscious contracts, for me, it makes this change to think about the beginning and to think about is not only the process, which is amazing, is the document or just the way you decide to sign that agreement and the way you're going to be dealing with it in the future, or the ACED part. So for me, it makes like a lot of sense. And now I always say the same. We say collaborative practice and conscious contracts are two different methods because they were designed by different people in different times, but actually are the same part of the process. It's just two different approaches. But I think that they should be together in training and in paradigm shift for lawyers, because it actually makes all the sense.
Two different processes, but they share the same paradigm, foundational belief. Yeah.
Actually, the participation agreement that we sign in collaborative process to start a process, that should be a conscious contract, right? The kind of agreement that we have as collaborative community are having between professionals when we are building teams for collaborative divorce, that should be a conscious contract process and conscious contract everything. And then at the end, when we are having this parenting or divorce agreement, that should be a conscious contract too, because we are taking care of family. a family that is just changing, is growing up in another sense that they didn't think of the beginning, but they still parents, they still need to make decisions together about their future, about their economics, about their everything.
For listeners who are not aware of conscious contracts, go ahead and explain that to us a little bit.
We as lawyers are very used to have this part of the contracts. It depends on your jurisdiction, but we always say that when you're having problems, you will go to the jurisdiction, to the courts of your city or whatever. If you are a more modern lawyer, you will say that you will be using mediation or collaborative practice before going into the court if you're having any problem with that contract. But the ACED in conscious contracts are that assuming that we will have differences, that our circumstances will change, that maybe we don't reach an agreement, how are we going to deal with these differences or with these conflicts when they arise? And instead of doing these copy-paste agreements where we always say the same, we are just going to design our own ADR system, like knowing your interests, your needs, and what you're looking for in this project together. And knowing me, how can we deal with these differences? How can we really design or create our type of conversation or methods of process to reach an agreement? And I think that part is essential because we cannot now design the future. And with the pandemic, we did learn that we cannot predict the future. But we can design how the process of how do we want to have our conversations? How do we want to reach agreement? And I think that part is essential and it should be done in every contract.
You said you use conscious contracts with prenups and other family type agreements. Can you give some examples of how they use the ACED process in those?
Yeah, those are beautiful because it's very tailored for them. It's very set for them. So sometimes it just starts with conversation, with a dinner, with a walk. And then maybe they have this technique about how to have productive conversation, maybe using non-violent communication, maybe having their own keywords, like they know when they have to use it.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we help them to have some techniques or skills. And then they approach a friend, mutual friend that they trust on each other. So they have their own process, but what we learned working with couples is like they have some dynamics that they always have the same. Like they have always the same kind of arguments. So part of the ACD training for them from us is to let them know when they are having that kind of conversation. Like you are again repeating that pattern of communication that you always have. So it's like saying stop there and understand that you are having that conversation again. Even the topic changed, but the kind of role they are using is the same.
I think that sounds brilliant, but how you were saying how this could be part of the collaborative law process, because I'm thinking in that part scenario where couples are coming to you because they do have the same type of, they get into those patterns and those fights. And as the lawyer, you guys can bring that out like, hey, are you aware this is really just another version of the same thing that you guys have been dealing with all along? Is there ever, and again, like at the prenup phase or in the marriage phase, bringing in, once that's identified, where you bring in a neutral therapist or something to say, have you considered working with this person too to help you heal through or find another way to go through this pattern?
That would be amazing. And many of our couples, they were working with a family therapist or something. But in conscious contracts process, we didn't have any neutral yet. We need a neutral that is certified and trained in conscious contracts.
I don't even know if they have to be the conscious contract part, but part of...
To give them this approach, yeah. It's really interesting, and sometimes we always say it, like we are here to help you to have better conversations, better communication, and better negotiation skills. But we are not therapists or psychologists or anything.
Yeah.
So we don't want to mix them or anything. We want to be very honest about how the skills we have. But sometimes you really can see it. And with the conscious contract process and the conscious contract questions, it really leads you there. Yeah.
We interviewed a Rhiannon Thomas from South Africa as an integrative lawyer with her firm Milkwood. Do you know Rhiannon?
Yeah, I have heard about it, obviously, with Kim.
I think that in her Milkwood, her firm is set up where it's her and then as equal members of the team are therapists, and then they use the conscious contract procedure, but therapists might be part of the team. So the lawyer's doing the lawyer work and the therapist is doing the therapist work, and she does collaborative law too, and I'm not sure how
that
the
makes
team
a lot of
comes
sense
together for everything. Yeah. So
That's great.
I'm just going to make a little, if anyone wants to find out more about this, check out our interview with Rhiannon Thomas, also on our website.
Great.
Because I think something that was really fascinating what she does, and it's kind of I think it says what you're doing with your prenups so let me backtrack. A lot of times with the conscious contracts, with the prenup, you're thinking, okay, we agree if we get divorced, I'm going to get this, you're going to get that, and that's a prenup. What does your prenups cover? What do they include?
Yeah, it's exactly the other way around. When we were attending one of Kim's first training in Spain, we were listening to her about all this new paradigm about rebuilding relationships. And we were thinking but what is one of the most essential contracts that you actually sign in your life, but you are not paying attention about it, and you are not seeking legal advice? And it's marriage, right? People are very busy thinking about the wedding day, the dress, the honeymoon trip, but they are not paying attention or thinking about the next day, right? What is gonna do? What are we gonna do when we are together? And actually, we are thinking about marriage. There is a lot of stuff. You're talking about your emotions, obviously, but you're talking about your life, your work, your time, your parenting, your economics, your property. It's like a lot of things. It's like a big company, though, a big project that you are going. And people, we are not paying attention to the law, to designing it. So we wanted to talk with people who were about to getting married, because we had all this experience in divorce to know things that usually don't work. And because we didn't want the old approach about prenups that is just focused on what you said, like what is going on when you divorce. We want to be focused on the relationship itself. Like, how are we going to design our time together? And it's not like you can take everything, but you can align your values, your ideas, your needs. So we have like the touchstone part, and we have the ACD part, which are essential to the contract. And then the agreements, they will decide what they want to negotiate. And it's been a really beautiful work because they are building something.
Yeah.
They are not sad. They are really thrilled about this new thing. But actually, the most realistic conscious contract process that we have had with couples have been with couples that have been a long time together. It's not two of them. We have it. They've been together for a long time, and they need this process to make an important decision in their marriage. They didn't want a divorce, but they were struggling with some decisions. So those processes were really realistic, where we could use all our skills, both collaborative practice and conscious contracts. Just with prenups, with people who are getting married, they were like so happy that they sometimes they miss the realistic of the approach.
It's beautiful. As you were talking, I just had an image of like, how there's like the wedding checklist, all the things you need to do for it to get married, like, whatever different websites have it, okay, yeah. Do you have the venue selection? Do you have the food check? There should be like on there, do you have your conscious contract, marriage contract? There should be like a checklist on those lists. So we'll have to.
Yeah. We always say that that's the good present. That parents, they always make like such an expensive present, important present. This should be the one, because this is the one where you actually check that you are aligned. Because it's not just to be in love. You can be in love, you can be attracted to a lot of people, but there is only some people where you actually are in the same page, or you are looking the same thing. Or you can be growing up together, you can learn from one each other. So what are we expecting from this? And there are some questions that people don't want to ask because they are feeling fear about the answer. So we always say the same. We don't want all fixed solution. We want just to have the conversation. We want you to listen to one each other and know where you are. Maybe you agree that you disagree, but you know where you are. And we always say, this is not that you will avoid divorce because you never know what is going to know, but you know that you will be untrue or you will be genuine. You know where you are. No matter if your marriage is 5 years or 25 years, but you will know what to expect from the other party.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I will say that I think that all this integrative law movement is essential because there are many, many, many lawyers who are about to quit their profession and they don't know that they can be another type of lawyer, that they can be this kind of lawyer that can help their clients in another way, that you can be yourself, that be a lawyer is not just going to, is not just going to a court.
What does integrative law, or what does being an integrative lawyer mean to you?
For me, it's just to be a lawyer. Otherwise, I couldn't be a lawyer. So I will say that lawyers, we in our society, the people, you give them a problem and they will fix it. And that's it. And that's just with the law. As interactive lawyers, we don't fix anything. We don't do this problem-solving process. We help them to do it. We have a lot of skills or techniques or tools, and we give it to them, and they will find their own solution. We are just going with them, walking with them. I don't want to be mother of anyone, you know? We are just walking through them. Yeah, I will say so.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being a part of Integrative Lawyers of the World. We really appreciate you being a part of our community.
Thank you, Carrie.